When one thinks of soldiers in war, most minds immediately wander to the standard infantry soldier with a rifle and squad. However, the Army is a large organization that runs itself and requires a vast array of roles to complete the mission. I will be going over each of the services that existed in the U.S. Army during World War II and what role they played. The Army split its soldiers between three different distinctions: combat arms, service troops, and administration. Combat arms included troops whose mission involved frontline combat to advance or defend directly within a theater of war. These combat troops were accompanied by service troops, whose main mission involved some subset of support beyond combat fighting, such as maintenance and engineering. Lastly, the Army utilized administrative services, such as the Corps of Chaplains and Inspector General's Department, to round out administrative support. In this video, I will be going over both the combat arms and the service troops, beginning with the infantry. The largest arm of the U.S. Army in World War II was that of the infantry. Despite the development of air power, armored capabilities, and other mechanized units, the infantry remained as the basic combat capability within the U.S. Army. Their mission was to defend and defeat any enemy attack while destroying and seizing any ground as part of offense. Between 1941 and 1943, the total size of the infantry increased by 60%, with a total of 317 active infantry regiments at the end of the war. These units were separated by type. Armored infantry divisions were stood up, utilizing transportation capable of long-range movement, along with light armored fighting vehicles to perform their mission. Other light infantry divisions included mountain and jungle divisions. Airborne divisions were developed utilizing glider and parachute regiments to perform raids beginning in the sky. Other specialized units included 6 Ranger battalions and the 1st Special Service Force. Both operated behind enemy lines. Between World War I and World War II, the development of tank production and tactics had stagnated. It wasn't until the success of German armored units under the Blitzkrieg tactic when America began to understand the importance of such mechanization. A specific armored force was developed in July of 1940, with an increasing number of armored divisions and battalions throughout the war. Armored units were either developed as standalone armored divisions, such as the 1st Armored Division, or non-divisional tank battalions attached to other units, such as infantry divisions. World War II oversaw the demise of horsed cavalry units as fighting forces. The last of these units was the Philippine Scouts, who, after withdrawing from Bataan, had to destroy their horses. Most cavalry troops were designated as mechanized and served within armored and infantry divisions as reconnaissance units. Their job was specified as performing reconnaissance missions, employing infiltration tactics, fire and maneuver, with units to engage in only combat necessary enough to accomplish the mission. Most of these cavalry units fought dismounted, mainly for defensive and security missions. The last sector of the armored branch were the tank destroyers. The purpose of these units was to stop the enemy armored units from attack, effectively designated as anti-tank battalions, equipped with self-propelled or towed guns that were to act as fast and high-velocity guns to counter armored vehicles. This force was demolished after the war, with its usefulness determined to be less than just using armored tanks as a counterforce. During World War II, the artillery service was split between the Field Artillery and Coast Artillery Corps. The Field Artillery was used as a partner to ground service units in the field, while the Coast Artillery was responsible for barrage balloons, anti-aircraft artillery, and naval vessel attack weapons. The Field Artillery was divided between light, field, medium, and heavy units. They were responsible for rendering close and continuous fire support to combat forces such as the infantry. They also provided long-range fire that restricted and disrupted enemy movement. They were a standard attachment in any division. On the other side, the Coast Artillery Corps operated fixed, railway, and tractor-drawn artillery. Their stated mission was to protect the fleet bases by defeating naval and air attacks. They did this through the use of underwater mines and large anti-aircraft artillery, the latter which overtook the Coast Artillery by the end of the war. Under the Army reorganization of 1942, the technical services were placed within the Army Service Force. These included engineers, Signal Corps, Chemical Corps, Quartermaster Corps, Ordnance Corps, Medical Corps, and Transportation Corps. Additional services were the military police, who performed stateside and foreign police and prisoner of war support, and the Finance Corps, that assisted in financial handling. Engineers were responsible to increase the combat power of ground troops by means of construction, facilitating friendly movement, or destruction impeding enemy movement. They were classified as either general or special engineer units and provided technical assistance for the construction. These services included clearing and constructing obstacles, laying minefields, building bridges, and moving troops across rivers. When needed, they would also engage in combat. When not on the front lines, engineer units were responsible for building shelters, airfields, and other useful stations. The Signal Corps was largely a communications branch. They were responsible for all steps in the process of setting up complex communications equipment to include development, supply, installation, and maintenance. Recognizing the importance of building a communication system that other countries were envious of, it is noted that the Signal Corps grew 54 times larger than it was at the start of the war. The United States Army defined a chemical warfare service that contained units all across the theaters of war. They were created to defend against enemy gas attacks, to include retaliation. However, due to the decrease of chemical warfare in general from World War I, their use case transitioned to other chemical weapons such as flamethrowers and smoke generators. Quartermaster soldiers operated trucks to draw and distribute supplies to distribution points for combat units. They helped service and load the supplies and provided services such as laundry sorting, shower operation, and other vital jobs. These supplies would include important ammunition and weapons. In the armored divisions, these units were known as Ordnance Maintenance Battalions. For the infantry, they had Ordnance Light Maintenance Companies. These were soldiers assigned to the Ordnance Corps, responsible for recovery of disabled equipment from the battlefield, along with repairs and maintenance of said equipment. Medical personnel were divided between attached medics to units and those within a medical battalion attached to divisions. The individual medics were responsible for providing immediate first aid on the battlefield, along with evacuating casualties to a nearby aid station. Personnel assigned to the medical battalion helped with evacuations, including those to Army-level hospitals, and contained medical officers working at these aid stations during operations. Due to the importance of the assistance these medical soldiers provided, they were the largest unit attached to the infantry division after the infantry and artillery. The last service was the established Transportation Corps, birthed in July 1942. They handled all domestic and overseas movement of men and materials. Each soldier had a purpose and mission specific to the needs of the Army. This aggregation of all soldiers within the larger Army provided a complete fighting force capable of defeating the Axis powers in World War II.